you have any questions for Reed Gunther? You can, for the Reed Gunther people, you can ask them. Chris and Jake. What do you think makes a comic friendly for all ages? We sort of answered some too already, but what would you say?
We were just on panel a couple hours ago, and we had the same question. But I think what we thought is that what we found is it just boils down to having fun. Because if you're having fun with an all ages comic, then it doesn't necessarily, it's not just a gritty, like serious thing. Although I don't know, I guess all ages comics could be gritty or dark, but I think I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's weird. It's like the difference. We talk a lot about the difference between all ages comics and kids comics, and whereas all ages comics, it's this tough to define genre and audience because you want everyone to be able to enjoy it. So really, you're creating just a good story, lovable characters, and you're not able to really put anything too objectionable in it because you want kids to be able to access it. So we have to kind of think outside the box sometimes. We have to be a little more creative maybe, thinking up clear story ideas. But yeah, we try not to like get our stuff down.
Yeah.
You know.
I think, going along the lines of fun, it's like, okay, if Reed Gunther needs to infiltrate this like bad guy's hideout. We've all seen it before when somebody like knocks out the henchman and dresses in their clothes and then walks through the front door. Maybe that's something that happens in maybe a more serious movie, or maybe a really funny one. I don't know. But we thought we had a similar situation where like, what if in this like the building that he was trying to get into housed a bunch of monsters, and the agency was rounding up a bunch of monsters in town. So what if Reed was smuggled inside this building by like hiding himself inside of a monster? So he goes out and gets eaten by a monster on purpose in order to, and then have that monster get captured and then go into the warehouse. So then he's now like in. And that's a much like weirder, zanier, more fun version of like dressing in a henchman's clothes. To me, something like that's more like what makes a good all ages book, is like an interesting twist on something you might have seen before, but it boils down to like, that's a fun solution for that.
Yeah, I agree, Shane.
Thanks.
So, what do you guys think the biggest challenge in making an all ages comic is? Like the biggest pillar wall you have to cross?
I think it's getting people to read it.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest challenge with a lot of comics, that doesn't have a very busty lady on the front, or isn't something that's like Batman, who everybody knows and has known for 70 years or something. So
yeah, I think the difficulties in creating an all ages comic and selling an all ages comic is really the same as any other comic. If you're creating something by yourself, and maybe a lot of you guys kind of already have found this out, it's hard to get it out there and get people comfortable with your characters and comfortable with reading it, because it's brand new and it's not the Batman that they've grown up with and they're comfortable with. So yeah, I don't think it's too different than creating any other comic or movie.
I think it's anything. If you made a movie that's totally new, it's not a licensed project, or a TV show. It's like the goal is always, how do we get people to consume this type of media, or this new thing that they might think is similar to something else. So it's just like, how do you find those readers? And so that's why we give away a lot of free issues. By the way, if anybody wants a free issue, Reed Gunther should buy our booth. And we have like bookmarks, and we have lots of like promotional events. We do a lot of store signings. We go to libraries, we go to schools and do presentations for kids. And anything we can do to kind of get in front of people is the best way we've found to just kind of like sell the book and sell ourselves as creators. But that's the bit hardest thing, just getting people to read it.
Yeah, you can sit down and make the comic, and then afterwards, if no one ever sees it again, you'll just look like a crazy person when you finally die and they find your house is just filled with stuff.
Hey, this is great!
What? This guy was insane! So we try not look insane when we find
That's our only goal. We're doing a terrible job, by the way.
Would you say that you can send the same message a movie that's not all ages can send? through an all ages comic? Like same impact, same.
I think so. I think when you boil down like even an R-rated movie, if it's still good, if it's a good movie, there's a lot of schlock out there where they're just like, we need a skeleton to hang all this like sex and gore on. But if it's a good movie, but it happens to be like rated R and it's this maybe more violent or intense version of a story, hopefully you can boil it down and it's still like about real people and real like troubling situations and hardships that they have to overcome or figure out how to deal with. And I think you can take that same thing and just strip away the gore and anything else that makes it R-rated, but it's still a good story, and that can be told in all ages. It can be told in kids' books. It can be told in R-rated movies or whatever. So I think so. I think it's just the dressings that you hang on it.
Yeah, and movie studios do it all the time. They always will submit a film for the rating committee, and if it comes back with a rating that they weren't expecting, they might either kind of cut things to lower the rating. If they're like, no, this is more, we want it to be a tween movie. We can't have an R rating.
But if they want an adult audience, they'll add gore or whatever.
Exactly.
Few more F-bombs.
Jump
it up to R, yeah.
If you have a really awesome looking movie and you want it to be really gritty and stuff, if it's rated PG,
like nobody's
not
gonna see
really gonna everyone's gonna look at that, and it kind of irks you a little bit. So hopefully the core, like Shane was saying, if the core is there, everything
And
else
if it's
kind of
good,
fall into place.
yeah, it'll make you feel something. If you feel for that character, doesn't matter what world he's in or what he's doing, as long as you feel for him. But there's plenty of movies I keep thinking of video game adaptations that they're you're like, where you're just you don't care what they do. They just go back to shooting people in the head,
Yeah, and that's why I usually Duke Nukem the movie isn't a good idea.
Yeah.
Because it's Duke Nukem is only fun when you're Duke Nukem and you're just shooting stuff. You're not really that invested in the story. So they make it into a movie that's nothing.
I believe we have a question.
Dude,
We have a question in the back.
So far, you've been talking about how to adapt it for children, but how are you trying to make the story big enough to get the attention for adults? Because
Okay,
back
sure.
Back when I was little, Tiny Toons, which was a cartoon show, was great, but they had a lot of inside jokes, which adults could enjoy as well. What are you doing with your comic ideas to make certain that there's movies where adults could get, where the kids, it might go over their head, but when they reread it when they're teenagers or even older, they're like, oh, I get it now.
Sure.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of allusions in you guys' comments, definitely.
Yeah. I don't know if we hide too much in it. There's if you reread it or if you read it backwards, it's not gonna do it. But I think I remember when Shrek came out, that was a big thing. Oh, there's really kind of innuendos and fun. And I think the stuff in our series that adults will same stuff that we like in the comic, kind of adults.
I hope so.
And so we just create something that we like, and that the jokes and the story are playing off, for us. And the kids will attach them. It's funny.
Yeah.
I think it's opposite. I think the kids find stuff that we didn't even mean to put in for. I guess it's for them. We'll put in stuff that just makes us laugh, and other adults are like, oh yeah, I really like that. Then kids will come up to our booth and this thing you did, this little funny gag or little this butt joke, they love, and it's we didn't even mean to put that in for them. So maybe it's the opposite.
Yeah, I think we do it. We never set out to make an all ages book. We set out to make an adventurous comedic book that entertains ourselves first. Because when we first started, we weren't sure if anybody besides our mom was going to read this. So we wanted She never read it. So we wanted to make sure that we really enjoyed it. So we were basically, I was writing a story that would make Chris laugh. And Chris was drawing pictures to go along with it that would make me laugh. And we're not kids. So then we put it out there, and people were like, "Oh, is this appropriate for my kid?" And we're like,
I guess.
"Yeah, there's nothing inappropriate for children in this book, but you'll like it too." And that's the hard distinction that all ages comics have to make. That it's not for kids. All ages comics is different than kids comics, but it doesn't exclude kids from the audience, whereas an R-rated movie might.
Yeah, and that's what makes it such a hard thing to define, and it's such a kind of gray area. But really, it's just like such a fun story. Maybe it's rated NR, although that means weird things.
Yeah.
It's not rated. It's old, not rated.
Yeah.
It's like the Abbott
Old,
Costello, not rated. Not like it's not rated.
Yeah.
It's all in how you say not rated.
Yeah.
It's not rated. It's not rated. They have it.
There's
That
a-
wasn't a flash.
Yeah.
That was a transcript.
You want to buy a comic?
You guys need a reality show.
Well, any other questions? How were you? Yeah, what's
Sure.
This question is, I guess, for the GNP panelists as well as for you guys. It's been really interesting hearing about how like attuned your vision is. I think as brothers and kind of having grown up knowing each other's tastes, and I'm curious for the panelists working together in a collaborative group with like 15 different people who have really potentially really different backgrounds and really different tastes. Like, how does that collaborative visioning happen? And you alluded to some of those challenges, but like, what are the rewards of that, and what are the biggest frustrations with that for either of you guys?
Like the rewards of the comic? Was that to us? Or
I think this is for everyone on the
For everyone?
panel, but like the
Sure.
collaborative, working collaboratively in that way to kind of create a unified masterpiece. What are the biggest frustrations and then the biggest rewards of working in that way?
I think one of the greatest rewards and also one of the greatest frustrations is like you have that number of people that you have to work with you, and so with 15 people, like we can get all these people working if we can motivate them to go to like collaborate and want to
I don't know if it is for you guys, but like I know when I'm working with Chris, we always try to. There's like a competitive spirit.